Alright, so sometimes now in your scene you need shadows, but because really everything that we do is kind of an illusion, you don't have a way of creating shadows. But there is a way. Okay, so you can see here I have a jungle scene, and I've created some foliage, canopy, but not nearly enough canopy to be creating this kind of shadow that I got going on. And that's because it's all happening here inside of the directional light. So if I go to directional light and I type light function, it's going to bring up this guy. And this is an area where you can input a material that is some shadows. So let me show you how to do this. What I did is in Photoshop, I went and just got some tree canopy black and whites. I put them together. Doesn't really have to be pretty, just has to be kind of effective. Did some levels and corrections and stuff like that. And then I just dragged that into my project. Okay, so here it is. Here's my texture. And then what you're going to do is you're going to create a material from it. So here's my material. It originally was this, and you just change this, the material domain, to a light function. Here's my material. All right. And then I created a texture coordinate because I wanted to be able to tile this. I created a constant, which is at 0.5 right now, and put that into a multiply. And what that is doing is it's allowing me to control the tiling through this UV tiling. So how many times this thing is actually tiling across our ground here. And then after that, I did another constant into an add node, and then all that goes into the emissive. Now what this add node does is the default value is 0 right now, but it tweaks the white and the black. All right, so it allows me to make it darker, make it brighter. It just kind of gives me that option to bring those areas in and out. And then I save that material, and then I right-clicked and created a material instance, which is this right here, which is, you can see that here is my UV tiling, and then here is my, I called it an add factor. It's the ability to make the black more blacker everywhere. It's like a levels. It kind of creeps in, and then, or the white, the white creeps into everywhere. So it just gives you those abilities to alter the material after that. And then so if we were to just clear this, this is what it looks like in real time. So you can see that it's not quite, it's a jungle if you're looking at it, but really you don't have that tree canopy overhead. So you just go ahead and select your material, pop it in there, and then there you go. You have an instant tree canopy happening inside your project without having to load up your computer with tons of Quixel foliage. So, cheap, easy way to cheat, and that's what 3D is all about. Cheating and trying to do your best to mimic the scene that you see in your head. All right, now we're going to be playing with a camera rig rail inside of a level sequence. If you come up here, you have two different kinds of sequence. You have a level sequence and a master sequence. The difference between the two is level sequences, you create what are known as shots, and a master sequence is when you collect all of those shots and then you stitch them together however you want. So a shot in a level sequence, let's say you have a camera pan going around a figure, and then you have another one kind of coming behind. Those would be two different level sequences, two different shots. And then you bring those into the master sequence, and you can put one before the other or cut one short or do whatever you want. So the master sequence is for kind of bringing all of the level sequences together. And then the last thing would be is whatever you have in your scene, if you want that thing to be part of the sequence, then you need to drag and drop it into the sequence. And then once it's in there, then you can do stuff to it. You can add transforms, rotations. So just have to remember that. All right. So here I have my scene. Let me just pan out so you can see what this thing is like. All right. Just a bunch of plants on a kind of little walkway, runway, with some ruins on the side of the walkway. And I have my blueprint actor. And so I'm going to be kind of taking a shot like this, and the actor will be walking towards us. All right, so let's go ahead and add a level sequence. And then you guys just name it whatever you want. And now let's go ahead and come up here and go to cinematic, or a camera rig rail. Add that to your outliner. Oh, all right. I've already done that, so I'm going to delete that guy. And then now we're going to add a camera actor. All right, now I'm going to take the camera actor and I'm going to make it a child of the camera rig rail. And then I'm going to, you can add stuff to the sequence a variety of ways. If you select it over here in your outliner, you can come down here to track and add that. You can also just grab the thing and drop it. All right. So camera is here. Need to bring that out. Let's go ahead and turn that around. Let's turn on snaps. Let's adjust our focal length. Let's do like an 80 millimeter. Let's see here. And then actually at this point, I think I will dive in and pretend that I am the camera. That's the best way that I've found. I mean, people do this differently. You got to do what works for you. And something like this. And then we are going to go into the focus settings. Well, all right. Let's just search for it. There we go. Okay, let's click on our debug plane, and then let's manually bring this thing in. And you want it just intersecting with whatever you're trying to capture. So I'm going to just try to get it on the face, just about like that. And then our figure should be in focus at this point. Okay, and then let's go ahead and get our figure and drag it into the sequence. Because this is a blueprint, we need to get to the mesh where the animation is actually attached to. So let's click on track, and my modern military is actually the mesh. So now I can click on modern military and come up here to track animation, and then I'm going to attach the animation that I've been working with. You can see animation is here now, and let's go ahead and really drag this out. I'm looking for something around a 600 mark. So you want to drag this red thing, which is going to be the end of your sequence, and then you can just drag out your animation. All right, now if we click that, you can see that the animation's pretty fast. It's normal speed, really, but I want to slow that down a little bit. So I'm going to right-click on it, go to Properties, Play Rate, and do that 0.5. There we go. That's more what I want. And then let's drag this out. All right, now let me come back down to my actor, and actually I want to go into the mesh, and I want to add a transform. So track, just press on add track, and then you can add these different tracks. So I'm going to add a transform. Let me get out of the camera. We're going to do location. All right. And nope. Yep. That's one way to find out. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on a keyframe. I'm going to pan way the heck out. And the end of our camera rig rail is right here. And all you do is just, it'll be up by the top there, and you can just drag it out. You can also control or alt drag and create curves and make it go up and down. And the rig rail is just a really interesting bit of a tool here. So anyways, let's go back to our location. I want to go to the end, and let's go ahead and have our character walk to the end here. Let's just make sure that keyframe is set. All right. So now if I put that back, And I press play. All right, there we go. So what we're going to want to do is right now these keyframes are on a like a Bezier, or however you say that. We want it on linear. Now, you might have to tweak your sequence here, because I think, as you can see, it seemed like the feet were sliding. And so it's just kind of a game you have to play. Yeah, seems to be a little bit. So let's go ahead and let's see what 720 holds for us. And then we'll have to get this keyframe, drag it out. All right. And then that's how you would adjust that. All right, so you guys will need to do that. I don't know that I want to fuss with this too much, because I'm just trying to show you guys how to get this done. All right, that's good enough. And I'm just watching the feet when they plant, if they're sliding, sliding away. All right, so we have that done. I think we can, yep, close that now. All right, now we want to be able to adjust our rig rail. So with the rig rail selected in the sequencer, you're going to come down here to track and current position on rail. And then what that does is it adds our position that we can animate on the rig rail. All right. So I want to make sure that this thing is at 0. It is. Okay. And I'm at the beginning of my sequence. So I'm going to go ahead and add a keyframe. Go to the end. Take my position, put that to the end. And then you see a keyframe's already been added because I have create a key, but I'm just going to make sure. So now when we go back, we have the figure and the camera rig rail, and the camera's following because it's a child. So that's working. The last thing we'll want to do is select these keyframes and make them linear as well. Now we should have everybody moving at the same speed. Hopefully you guys can see that. Let me just zoom in here a little bit. So there's our blueprint. Here's our camera. And as I move this, you can see the camera's moving and the figure is moving across the floor there. All right. Okay, and you can see everything seems to be playing out pretty good. So you'll need to adjust your camera angle, whatever you want. If you need to move it left, right, up, and down, you would just come in here and select your camera actor, open up the transform, and make those adjustments, okay? Make sure that you add a keyframe. So what I would do is, like, let's say, here, let's just play a game. Let's say I'm all the way down here, and I really want the camera to be clipping this, these plants a little bit. So what I would do is, let's just move our camera over. Let's move it down. Let's get a little rotation going on here. All right. And so what I would do is go ahead and click that. That's going to create a keyframe. And I'm going to do my Z and Y. And then I'm going to select those guys and drag them all the way here. And now my camera should hold position where those keyframes are, all the way down. Might get a little clipping of the bushes, which is what I want. Yeah, that looks nice. Okay, all right, cool. We are just about there. Now you'll notice as I click on my blueprint, I'm in the pilot camera mode, and I've selected my blueprint. You can see the MetaHuman face rig right here. So if you want to go ahead and do that, you certainly can. Go in here, make your keyframes. You want to make sure you set keyframes. And then once you've done that, you don't really want that in your animation. So just go ahead and select it here in the sequencer. And then over here on the left under animation, you'll see this hide control shapes. Just click that and you can see the face rig go away. All right. And then I think that is going to be about it. We are ready. So let me just make sure everything's working the way we want. You can see the little, I got little sparklies in there. And then I have some haze, exponential height fog. Yeah, it's looking pretty cool. All right, so the last bit here is to set up our render and click render.